Now, is Benjamin coming online as well?
I am online. I just can't get the camera to work.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, we'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock and another virtual meeting here. I'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Your worship, all members are present with the exception of Councillor Hewitt and Councillor Foley.
Are they coming online later, or because they weren't coming on?
If you're asking me, I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. Okay. Is
Councillor
there?
Foley had indicated to me he would be joining. Councillor Foley had indicated he would be joining.
Okay. Well, we'll carry on. Item number 3 is the review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Is there any changes we got to make to the agenda? Seeing none, we got the agenda up in front of us there now. So item number 4 is the approval agenda. We've got a motion that was moved by Councillor LaFerrier and seconded by Councillor Hewitt, which can't do it now. So we'll pick who wants to second that motion to approve the agenda.
I will. Jelly.
Councillor Jelly. I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this particular motion.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen, Councillor Whalen, and Councillor LaFerrier.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature tonight? Any particular item? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6. And I got a motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council was held on March the 24th, and the regular council meeting was held on April the 7th. No, that's today. So we just got one set of minutes. I'll ask the clerk for a vote on that motion as well.
Councillor LaFerrier,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen, Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Councillor Jelly.
In favor.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor. In favor.
I can't hear Councillor Whalen.
Your microphone doesn't seem to pick up, Danny.
I'm reading his lips, that's fine.
Is Councillor Whalen microphone picking up? I can see you speaking, but I can't hear anything. Can anybody else hear Councillor Whalen?
No.
No.
You got your microphone turned on, Dan? Well, that looks better. You speaking now, or?
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Yep.
Okay, I can hear you now.
I hear you now.
Okay, we're good. There's no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or any other statutes. We've got a first question and answer period, which I assume we don't have any questions at this point. We have no presentations. We have the communications. 10A is a letter from Steve McLean, the club maintenance chair for the Cobalt Hillbury Curling Club, regarding sponsorship for funding application of the Frog's Breath Foundation. There's a motion to be presented under new business for that one. 10B is a letter from Melanie Muncaster, the executive director for Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, regarding our funding application being declined for the Rotary Splash Pad. That's received for information. 10C is a letter from Barbara Madigan, the deputy clerk treasurer for the town of Matachewan. looking for support for the opioid overdose national health epidemic. That's received for information. 10D is a letter from AMO Communications regarding an update on the province closes outdoor recreational activity or amenities. That's received for information. And 10E is a letter from Carolyn Hamilton, the Director for the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, regarding the Line Fences Act now being administered by OMAF. That's received for information. 10F is a letter from Evelyn Dawes, the Deputy Register for the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal. It's regarding the adjournment of all hearing events and suspension of timelines. That's received for information. Letter 10G is a letter from Louise Greer, the Coordinator for the Nilisquil Business Improvement Area. And it's a motion to reduce the 2020 BIA levy. So that's referred to our treasurer. So, we have a motion moved by Councillor. We actually don't have a mover. Councillor Foley's not on the line yet.
Oh, I'm here now.
Oh, you're there now. Okay, so moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Whalen. Be it resolved that City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10G according to the agenda references. And if anybody has any comments on these different correspondence, we'll hear the different comments at this point. Anything you want to bring back?
I just have a question on the OMAFRA taking over the line fence inspection.
Go ahead, yeah.
Does that mean we still have our inspector?
I don't think anything really changes, does it, Chris? There, we still have our go ahead.
Yeah, my understanding is that we continue with the local enforcement under the Line Fences Act, but that rather than municipal affairs, OMAFRA is the lead ministry, which is, I think, a better alignment, quite honestly.
Okay, and we still carry out the inspections, and that's what my question is.
Yes. That is
Thank
my understanding.
Okay. Any other comments?
Your Worship, if I could just make one comment on item F, the adjournment of hearings. So because the local planning appeal tribunal, this used to be the old Ontario Municipal Board hearings.
Yeah.
They have suspended their timelines, which really means that the appeal period is indefinite right now until the ministry gives us some guidelines. So what effect it has is we're really hampered from processing any planning applications right now until we can figure out, until the province tells us how we're going to proceed.
Yeah, and we don't have any in house right now, anyways. Any applications in?
There was one pending application regarding swimming pools in front yards. That's specifically for waterfront properties. That will not be proceeding, but certainly for anyone looking in the near future, until we get more clarity from the ministry, we're really hamstrung on processing planning applications. I have been in contact with Ministry of Municipal Affairs, and they're recommending to suspend the acceptance of any applications right now.
Does that take into account the committee of adjustment, minor variances and all that as well, or?
So it could potentially affect those as well because of the appeal. The timeline for appeal is now literally indefinite. Yeah.
So instead of 20 days now, we're going to be indefinite there.
Yeah. So until they tell us, instead of 20 days, it's until they decide when they're going to resume hearings. So we could still have the hearing, but it would be in limbo until the appeal period kicks in again.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll ask the clerk for a vote.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor?
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
Counselor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor.
and Counselor Foley.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Could
Item
I,
number,
could I interrupt? Can I
Certainly.
interrupt for 1 minute? I have Patricia on my phone says that she has both her computer and her laptop on, and it says waiting for Bradley Hearn. Just give that to Brad. I don't know what's going on.
I
Yeah,
had the
she would,
same
she would be in the wrong meeting. She'd have to look at the latest meeting request.
oh,
No,
yeah,
for
you said
email.
another-
Excuse
You sent
me for
another
1
email.
second. I'll let her know.
yeah, Brad sent the other email today. Supersedes the email from the other last week.
Yeah, it said that.
Okay. We'll move on with item number 11, the committees of council, community and regional. I got a motion that's moved by her, Councilor Hewitt, whether she can come online or not before we finish here. Seconded by Councilor MacArthur. Be it resolved the following minutes and or reports be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the Temiskaming Transit Committee meeting that was held on February the 19th, 2020. So, if Patricia's online, which I don't see her yet, maybe if somebody else wants to move that motion.
Sure.
Councilor MacArthur. Thank you, sir. I'll ask the clerk for a vote, please.
Counselor MacArthur, second.
Somebody sweep.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Councilor
I
MacArthur
already-
seconded.
I already seconded.
We need somebody to move it now.
I'll move it.
Councilor LaFerriere. Thank you. The clerk, vote please.
Counselor Foley,
in favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Counselor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Counselor Jelly.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, item number 12, the committees of council internal departments. I got a motion moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor LaFerriere. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the building maintenance committee meeting held on February 27th, 2020. B, the minutes of the public works committee meeting held on February 27th, 2020. And lastly, the minutes of the protection person property committee meeting held on February 27th, 2020 as well. So, any comments on that? Any of those sets of minutes? If not, I'll ask the clerk for another vote on this motion.
Counselor Jelly,
In favor.
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
Counselor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor.
and Counselor Foley.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Are there any reports by members of council tonight? Who wants to go
Mayor-
first?
Mayor Kidd?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mike here. I had a couple of questions for you. I was wondering if you'd rather wait till the question and answer. They both involve yourself as the chairman. One is on the airport manager. I was reading about that. And the other one was just an update on the senior housing project. So I didn't know whether I'm the deputy mayor. So if I ask you the question, I'm asking you as the mayor, I guess, rather than the chairman.
No, as the, for the part the airport goes, our airport manager has been wanting to retire for the last year and a half now, and we've been dragging him along so far. We have advertised now. We originally were hoping to get an internship with Heritage Fund funding for that, but we didn't get any applications in under that program. So now we just advertise normally as to replace Harold as the airport manager. So
Okay.
We've got until next Thursday to get the resumes in, and then we'll select who we want to interview and get the interviewing done and decide whether we can actually get somebody hired. And then Harold will probably stay around for another 3 or 4 months just to do a little training session with the new person there as well. So that's the airport. We wondered whether or not the seniors housing project was going to be shut down as of Saturday night, but it seems to still fit the programs that they've announced for service that are necessary in the area. So they're still going ahead. Peterson's are pouring cement. Belanges is still in there putting rafters up, putting the building in. There's electricians in there, plumbers, drywall, all the wall. I just did a little tour this afternoon there. So they are proceeding full speed ahead there. We're just trying to wrap up some of the financing document stuff at this point. So hopefully we can get that all done here next week and get some bills paid. So it's been a tough slug with lawyers trying to get things done, but I expect we'll get all the financing in place in the next 2 weeks. Some of it should be in place tomorrow, I think.
Thank you very much.
We actually selected all the paint and the flooring and stuff today, so we'll get that on order. So, good. Any other questions or reports?
Yeah, just quickly if I can. I know council supported this, probably 2 or 3 years ago, but the announcement got lost in the shuffle here with all this COVID-19 stuff. But ONTC has been moved out of Ministry of Energy North Development and Mines and moved over to Ministry of Transportation. If you're wondering why I'm bringing that up, because ONTC does have an impact on our local economy with all the shopping that's done by their employees, so council should be aware of that.
That should be a better fit, I would think, putting that under the MTO.
It'd be better from ONTC's point of view anyway. They're very happy about it. So we've been chasing that dog for a long time, so it's nice to see it come about.
Any other reports?
Yeah, Your Worship, I just want to make a comment. As Chair of Corporate Services, I did send an email out to Your Worship as well as to Chris, following up on our conversation at our last council meeting with regards to whether we should be deferring tax collection and a few other things and what some of the municipalities are doing. The other request that I had mentioned we should be looking at is revisiting our capital budget process and seeing if there's an opportunity for us to save some cash flow. When I look at what's happening, the coronavirus has really, caused havoc around the world. And I think that as we start to deal with some of these things, the more we can reduce our spending, whether it's on the operating side or on the capital side, it's really going to help us with some of the decisions we're going to have to make in the near future. So just some thoughts for everybody. I know Chris is going to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. That's all.
Yeah, we've got to look at that new fire hall in Hildeberry, see whether the timing is right to try and do that this year, whether we should put that off. There's a few decisions we have to look at, and we'll discuss those in that corporate services meeting Jeff you were referring to there. I know the one project, I guess, for the additional water supply line going into Diamond has been let. Peterson's had the contract to do that. That may be the only capital project that we may want to go ahead with this year. We can discuss that at the next council meeting there. A couple other things I just wanted to update people on as well. Matt and Chris and I had quite a conversation the last couple of days, and we decided that we should be posting all of the parks, boardwalks, Staddle Trail as being closed because it's just too much close contact for people walking along those trails. And I know that I got a call this morning from a lady commenting that there was a big party at Peace Dam last night. So people are not getting the message yet. So they were going to post those signs today and allow those trails there to make sure that they're posted as being closed. So we may then have to contact the OPP and see whether they'll enforce some of that, because we really don't have enough bylaw enforcement. We really don't have any legislation for bylaw officers to go in and find anybody at this point. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that we decided we had to close the Hilbury dump to residents. We're going to leave it open for the commercial people to go in and dump their refuse and that, because we can then invoice them. Problem being that we don't want to have John in there taking cash, and most people that take refuse to the dump right now are paying with cash, and there's a lot of interaction going on there, and John doesn't feel safe handling that cash and meet with all these people. So we're going to post that the dump be closed to any residential people for now. So just a couple changes going on there. So, any comments on that at all?
I just had one. I had just one, Carmen, and I would really like you to make sure that there is a signage put up around the skateboard park, because I think a lot of young people are going to want to, with the good weather, we've sometimes had them moving in there a little faster than we wanted to. And I think that not only they're going to be too close, that it's closed, and I just hope that we can keep it that way.
Yeah, we may have to padlock that gate going into that orange fence around there. So I'll talk to Matt about that tomorrow.
If I could comment, Your Worship.
Yes.
So the plan at the moment is to leave that fencing in place. Obviously, we will put up extra signage around the skateboard park, and we're also discussing putting up some barricades at the entrance to that pathway that goes to the skateboard park. It is one of the facilities that has to stay closed, and we're going to do our best to make sure that everyone understands that it is closed, regardless of how eager some may be to get in and utilize it.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Matt.
you.
Your Worship,
The only other thing I'll bring, sorry.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Jeff.
okay, thank you. Your Worship, just with regards to the closing of the dump, I understand the issue around the cash piece of it, but I have a huge concern if we do close the dump in this last any period of time, where that garbage is going to end up. And I think there's other options we can look at on allowing people to pay. I think we really should reconsider whether we close the dump or not. I think it is well used. I think there is an opportunity to make sure there's social distancing happening. And if it's just the cash component of it, maybe look at some alternatives there. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I suggest that we allow people to take the garbage in there for free, but it may end up being a real free for all once we announce that anybody can take in their yard waste or anything else, and it'll open it up for people. It'll be hundreds of people going in there every day taking in their refuse and that. So that's the only concern I have if we don't have somebody collecting the cash. Chris, you got a comment on maybe on that as well?
Comment?
Yeah, Doug?
Go ahead, Chris, if you wanted a minute to talk about the dump. I had something else I'll bring up.
So I was just going to say, we can certainly take that into consideration, Councillor Ferrier, and look at it a little further. For now, though, it is closed, and we have been looking at some strategies for amnesty and so on, because we do share the concerns that you brought forward, and certainly don't want to see people throwing their garbage in ditches or on side roads, and that will cause us more of a problem than solving a problem. So we'll continue to monitor this and look into it.
Yeah, we may end up having a whole lot of garbage just dumped outside the gate there if we're not careful. So that may be an issue, Jeff. We better discuss that some more there too. Good, thanks. Councillor Jelly?
Yeah, the only thing I was going to bring up, Your Worship, when it was mentioned there was a party at Pete's Dam last night. I don't know how much of the property we own along Little Beach and Dawson Point Road, but we might want to make sure that our property is posted. That is quite a party haven for the younger generation, usually when school's out, but school's out now. So if they're looking for a place to get together, once the weather clears up and snow goes, they may be down in that area also. I know we don't own all of that property going out there.
I know I mentioned to Matt about that trail going through there from Dawson Point over to the base of Catherine Street. No, Robert Street, eh? That trail need to be posted for sure because a lot of people use that trail in the summertime as well.
Catherine Street. Yeah, Catherine Street.
Yeah, Catherine Street, yeah. Matt, maybe you want to post the other little beats there further out on Dawson Point there as well?
Sure, I'll make mention of it and we'll complete that for you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else as far as reports?
Can I just get clarification on one thing?
Yes, sir.
So at the next corporate services meeting, we are gonna discuss the tax levy, cash flows and projects?
The capital projects for sure, yes.
Okay,
So, Councillor Whalen, Laura Lee is working on some cash flow as well as I'm working on some cash flow projections. So we anticipate doing a review of the capital budget and projects, some cash flow scenarios for council to look to, for the committee to review as well. And some other discussions potentially on the operating budget.
okay,
We'll bring
because
all
I
that
was
back.
on a province-wide meeting today and the single biggest issue was cash flow. So, we're gonna be in the same boat and I think we should have a good discussion about it. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll have a corporate service meeting, and then we'll bring it all back to council on the 21st there as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Moving on to item number 14, any notice of motions tonight? If not, we'll jump into the new business. 15A is a letter of support for the Coastal Gas Link project. And I got a motion moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor MacArthur. Whereas the dispute regarding the Coastal Gas Link project in British Columbia is continuing, and whereas the dispute has directly affected both the township of Tyendinaga and the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, and whereas a resolution of the situation lies in discussion and negotiations with the appropriate parties. Now therefore the corporation of the State of Eastern Shores petitions those parties to work together to find a successful and peaceful resolution of the pipeline matter as quickly as possible, and further that a copy of this resolution be sent to the township of Tyendinaga. So any discussion on that? If you're not willing to second or move or second any of these particular motions, just let me know there and we'll change who's actually moving and seconded there. But if there's no comments, I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this matter.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor?
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor?
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
and Councillor Foley.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you. Did Councilor Hewitt get online by telephone or?
No, if I could interrupt you again, I sent her the message that you sent out a revised, Brad. She come back, says she's on the one from the 4th. I believe oh, there we are.
Yeah, actually, if I can interrupt, I am on.
Okay.
But when you're voting, I just assumed anyhow that you only have to go through so many for to have vote. But yeah, that was disappointing. My apology.
No, everybody that's online here now should be voting. So the clerk will make sure you
Okay.
ask everybody.
Okay.
15B is a motion for support for public buildings for wood. Wood being the first choice, and this is moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor Foley. Whereas most residential construction is made from wood, however, many public and commercial buildings do not use wood as the primary material, although nothing in the building code prohibits this type of construction. Whereas the Canadian Wood Council, through the Woods Works program, have been working diligently to create a wood culture in the built environment, and whereas Twisting Shores sits in the heart of Ontario's 71.1 million hectares of forest, is a city committed to the support of over 155,000 direct and indirect forestry jobs in the province of Ontario. And whereas the $16+ billion industry is a world leader in forestry practices, including the planting of 71.4 million plus trees in 2017, while only harvesting 0.1 million hectares, or 0.5% of the 27.7 million hectares of crown managed forest annually. And whereas the climate is being relabeled as climate crisis around the world, greenhouse gas emissions are at an all-time highs, and a significant percentage of that is produced from construction. whereas wood is created from solar energy and only a small quantity of energy is required to convert it into products. Thus, the recycling and reuse of wood extends the carbon storage period. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the City of Twisting Shores hereby supports wood as the first choice for public building construction. So, any comments on that particular motion? If not, I'll let the clerk call a vote on this motion.
Councillor Hewitt,
In favor?
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Councillor Jelly.
In favor.
Worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15C is a proclamation, QP 5014, the National Day of Mourning. And it reads, the motion is moved by Councillor LaFerriere, second by Councillor Whalen. Whereas every day in Canada, workers lose their lives on the job. And whereas in 2017, the official number of workplace fatalities rose to 951. And whereas QP Local 5014 joins with the Canadian Labour Congress and other unions around the country requesting that flags at City Hall and other operational sites be lowered to half-mast for the National Day of Mourning for workers killed or injured on their job in order to recognize those across our country that have been killed while at work. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Council of the City of Twisting Shores hereby proclaims April 28, 2020 as National Day of Mourning for workers killed on or injured on the job in the City of Twisting Shores. And further, the Council agrees to lower the flag on April the 28th, 2020 at City Hall. Clerk, want to call a vote on this particular matter?
Councillor Jelly,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
and Councillor Hewitt. Councillor Hewitt,
In favor?
your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Chris, you're going to try and make sure that either James or Mitch or somebody lowered the flag to half-mast on that day?
Yes, we'll look after that.
Okay, thank you. So, 15D is the tax receipt for R10's application to a Farm Credit Canada Agri-Spirit Fund, and I got a motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor MacArthur, whereas R10 has applied for $15,000 in funding assistance under the FCC Agri-Spirit Fund for the purchase of folding chairs for the St. Paul Hall for their programming, and whereas R10 based on their structure cannot provide a tax receipt, and whereas R10 provides programming that is beneficial for the residents of Twisting Shores and is aligned with the city's cultural plan. Now, therefore, be resolved that Council for the City of Twisting Shores hereby authorizes staff to issue a tax receipt if their application is successful. Any comments, concerns? If not, I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this one.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
and Councillor Hewitt.
In favor?
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15E is a memo 005 2020 CS, the potential land disposition of a portion of Paget Street. And I've got a motion moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved, the Council of the City of Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 005 2020 CS. And the Council authorizes staff to continue with their potential disposition of a portion of Paget Street in accordance with the land disposition bylaw 2015-160. Any comments on this? This is just a small piece of property next to the, adjacent to the Wabi River there, I guess, at the end of Paget Street. So, no comments. I'll ask the clerk for a vote, please.
Councillor Hewitt,
In favor?
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Counselor Jelly.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you. 15F was Administrative Report CS 008-2020, the Hillsbury Family Health Team lease of the Hillsbury Medical Center. I got a motion moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be it resolved that Council of the State of Victoria hereby acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 008-2020. The council directs staff to increase the rental rates for the use of the office space by the Hillsbury Family Health Team by 2% for 2020. And the council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a one-year lease agreement with the Hillsbury Family Health Team for the use of office space at the Hillsbury Medical Center for consideration of the April 7th, 2020 regular meeting tonight. So, any comments, concerns? I'll ask the clerk for a vote.
Excuse me, your worship. My concern on this is relatively, well, I'm not going to say minor. It seems that we're deferring a lot of things here this evening, and I understand that we clean the medical clinic and it's full now, requiring more work, but I also believe that they are being billed more for that. I'm just wondering if now is the proper time to be increasing the rent of that office. I'm not totally opposed to it, and I also understand that it was a security device put in that was shared 50-50, that they put money up front for, or are putting money up for. So I just question the fact as to whether we should be raising it on this municipally owned building right now. I believe we deferred or are deferring any increase that we've asked in the recreation fees for a bit until this is over or under control. So I just question whether or not we shouldn't be putting this off for 3 months and bringing it back to discuss at that time. These are our emergency, not only running an office, working in the hospital, working long days and what have you. I also understand their rent is subsidized by the government or paid for. Anyways, my comment.
It's probably a good comment, Doug, because I know they are canceling all their appointments. So they're not holding regular office hours for patients coming in. So they're probably not billing the province a whole lot at this point either. So it's maybe something we should look at. But
Yeah,
other comments?
I kind of agree with Doug as well. I think the timing of it, while we're dealing with this crisis, I think we should defer. Just my thoughts.
Do we have a mover and a seconder to defer this motion for a few months?
Danny here. I would move Doug's suggestion. I also have another comment though.
Yes.
I'm just wondering why we deal with all these municipal buildings on 1-year agreements. It'd be a lot easier for us to make an investment in the building if we knew we had a 3-year agreement or a 5-year agreement. Because they're only funded yearly, or what's the reason that we only have a 1-year agreement?
Any comment there, Chris?
So, Charlie could chime in because she deals with these leases regularly, but the Family Health Team receives funding through the Ministry of Health, and their allocation is based on an annual basis, so they're really unable to answer.
Yeah, no, that answers my question. It'd be a lot easier for the municipality to invest in buildings if we had a long-term lease. But I was assuming it was a yearly commitment. Thanks, and I support Doug's suggestion as well.
So if Doug wants to move that motion, Danny's going to second it. I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this amendment.
I just had one more comment.
Yes.
I just want it to be known, I'm going to vote for this for sure, but if we have gone ahead and put any other rates up on any other thing for 2020, I think you're going to have those folks come back at us and say, how come you gave them a break and you're not giving us a break? And I know we've changed some rates on different things. So I think Doug's got a good point. but I think there's going to be some other groups that are going to come back and say, why could you not put it off for 3 or 4 months or whatever?
Yeah, I
If
think
I'm,
these are
if
the
I,
doctors that are frontline service. I mean, they're working the emergency, they're working at the hospital more than they're probably working in their office in Hillbury. So I mean, I think we have to give them a bit of a break, is my opinion, anyways. But Doug, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, if something else comes up, we'll deal with it as it comes up. The issue here is this is before us this evening, and we need to move on one way or the other. My suggestion was that we bring this back in 3 months. If that was okay, that was my suggestion. Chris, is that reasonable? Or?
Yes, we can defer. So the motion to defer would state the 3 months. So we'll bring this back in sometime early mid-July, I guess.
So the
Thank you.
current contract will be extended for 3 months.
Correct.
Okay. I'll ask the clerk for a vote on the amendment. So we defer it.
Counselor Jelly,
In favor?
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
Counselor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Counselor Foley,
In favor.
and Counselor Hewitt.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Administrative Report CS 014-2020, the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase at the Prospectors and Developers Association Conference for 2021. And the motion reads, be resolved, or actually moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved that Council of the State of Stores hereby acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 014-2020, and that Council supports staff applying to FedNor for funding support to enable the city to lead the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase at the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada Conference or Convention in Toronto next March the 7th to the 10th, 2021. So James has already put the application in the FedNor. We need a letter of support here for you. So, any comments on that before we ask Dave for the vote? We'll ask Dave for the vote on this motion.
Counselor Hewitt,
In favor.
Counselor Foley,
In favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Counselor Whalen,
In favor.
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Counselor Jelly.
In favor?
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15H, Administrative Report CS 015-2020. It's another funding application to FedNor for the Canadian Institute of Mining Conference that's held in Montreal this year in 2021. Motion is moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Be it resolved, the Council of the State of Victoria hereby acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 015-2020, and the Council supports staff applying to FedNor for funding support to enable the city to lead the Northern Ontario Mining Showcase at the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy and Petroleum Convention in Montreal from May the 2nd to the 5th, 2021. So, any comments?
Yes, Danny here.
Yes, Dan.
Just wondering, I see James is on his grab there, but do we have any idea of what type of a workload this will be? With us hosting both rather than one?
James, I'll let you answer that if you're on.
Yeah, so the project will not change much. The difference will be, obviously, it's 2 events. We'll be dealing with many of the same people. The difference between 2020's event and 2020-21 for CIM in 2020, although it was canceled, city staff, myself, was doing all of the coordination work. Whereas for the 2021 event, we have requested sufficient funds to enable us to hire an event coordinator. Therefore, I would say workload on myself will actually be less for the 2021 event because I'll be just managing the event coordinator who will be doing most of the work.
Okay, I appreciate the comments then, James. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this motion.
Councillor Hewitt,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Councillor Jelly.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15I is Administrative Report CS 2020, the property tax deferrals in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I got a motion, or draft resolution, I should say. It's not moved and seconded by anybody at this point, but I'll read the draft resolution that we can discuss this. Be resolved, the council for the state of Victoria acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report CS 016 2020. The council agrees to defer the May 15, 2020 property tax installment to July 15, 2020. And the council agrees to the proposed third property tax installment of September the 15th and the proposed fourth property tax installment of October the 15th. And the council respectively request that both the District Nursing Social Services Administrative Board and the Nursing Board of Health consider a deferral of the municipal contribution for a period of 3 months. Comments on this proposed resolution? You got the admin report in your package.
Can you get a first and seconder, please, Carmen?
Yes, okay, sorry. So we want to move and second that motion.
I'll move it.
Councilor Jelly,
second
by
it.
Councilor LaFerriere.
Correct.
So Councilor Jelly and Councilor LaFerriere. So comments?
Yeah, Danny here.
My only comment on that,
Did you hear me?
Who wants to go first? No, or did Danny go first?
Okay,
Go-
I just,
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm wondering if we should be dealing with this now or after our corporate services meeting. I mean, it's nice to defer things, but, you know, every time we defer something, we're deferring our cash flow. The revenues that we're losing right now, we're not deferring, we're losing. So I want to be cautious so that we have a plan in place to deal with these taxes that we're not going to be collecting right now. It's nice to defer it, but you have to have a plan to back up your deferral. That's my only concern.
Okay. Councilor Jelly?
what, can I ask, when's your next corporate service meeting?
It's coming up next week, Chris. It'll be before the April 21st meeting.
Yes, so I believe our corporate services meeting is on April 15th. And then we'll be bringing back some cash flow projections to council. So it's however council wishes to proceed. I know there was a request for us to gather some more information. We haven't had the time to fully flesh out the impact on that. I mean, when you look at, we collect roughly 3.25 million a quarter for municipal purposes. So if we're looking at 1 quarter, that means that we're not going to be, potentially not going to be looking. I mean, there are still going to be people who we hope will continue to pay their taxes. Some are on pre-authorized payment plans. And so some of those will continue. But there are those who are looking for some relief through a deferral program. So that's why we're bringing this forward now, realizing that you don't have the full picture yet on the cash flow, and a lot of the cash flow projections that we're going to be able to work on for you are really that they're projections. That there's a lot of variables that could come into play that may impact those cash flows as well.
We could defer this motion until we have our corporate service meeting, bring it back on the 21st of April council meeting. If we approve it on the 21st, and they still be able to hold off their payments on May the 15th.
That's a good idea.
That was Jeff.
Yeah, Your Worship. So just a couple of things, and maybe Chris, you can clarify. I'm not sure how much notice we need to be able to do that in the system. But the second piece is, and I'm all in favor of getting more information. The reality is, whether we defer it or whether our ratepayers are saying we can't afford to pay it. You know, I can speak to you from the banking side of things, and we are overwhelmed in the financial world with how many folks are deferring mortgage payments and loan payments, and because what COVID-19 has really done is remove the ability for anybody to earn an income. And if you look at the amount of people that are on unemployment right now, it is not going to change in the very near future. So yes, we need to gather some more information, and yes, we need to put a plan together. But the reality is, we are going to defer the taxes. I'm not sure. You know, we can make that decision to say no, we're not. But if the ratepayers don't have the ability to pay, and I don't know that we have the ability to have our ratepayers be treated differently, the ones that do want to defer and the ones that do want to pay. Maybe you could answer those two questions, Chris.
Yeah, Jeff does bring up good points. My concern is not with deferring. I don't have a problem with deferring. I just want to make sure the municipality is in a financial position to carry their own weight during this deferral. And we just haven't seen that in writing, so it is a concern. I'm not against deferring, I'm against still have help.
Chris?
So we're going to work as hard as we can to get you that information that you need, and we are looking at some proposals for council to look at. Certainly the cash flow is a concern for me, and to make sure that we're able to sustain ourselves as well. I think it also takes a community to work together on this, so that's why you'll notice in this resolution, and I realize it's difficult for those organizations as well, but looking to our partners at DSAB and the health unit, I mean, that's almost over $700,000 for that quarter that we pay out for those services. And so hopefully they will also consider in looking at the deferral. So we're going to do our best to make sure that we have that cash flow. We're still working on those numbers. I don't want to give you numbers today and then I want to give you the best advice possible on those numbers.
So we can either have a motion to defer this motion.
Can I have can I make another comment, Your Worship?
Yes, sir.
With regard to going to DSAB to see if we would be in a position to defer, that's certainly a reasonable request. It'll have to go to our full board, and we do not have a board meeting scheduled until the 22nd. We do our board meetings by just teleconference, but we do not have a board meeting set up till then. I did speak with CAO today just to give a bit of a heads up that this might be coming, and we'll start the process, obviously, the same as the city do, of checking our cash flow, because we depend heavily on it. Our programs must all continue. We have received a little extra funding, but we still look after our yearly programs. So we'll be looking at it. I will talk to our CAO tomorrow and see if they can start that process, but I'm just letting you know that DSAB will not be able to give you an answer until after the 22nd.
Carmen, Mike
Yes.
here. I
Yes,
do
Mike.
believe that the health unit is in the same boat. Our next meeting is the 21st of April. That'll
I
be
mean-
a full board meeting.
Not
Both the health unit and
Not the
DSAB would have
21st.
to look at what they've got. Both these would have to look at what they've got in reserves to see whether they can cash flow that or not, too, what using their reserves, so.
If I could
Comment?
make one,
Chris? Chris, you wanna go ahead?
I don't think I answered the one question from Councillor LaFerriere about the application of the deferral. The deferral would be applied to all ratepayers. However, there are some who who pay monthly now and may decide they want to continue doing that. So it would be offered and available, the deferral, to all residents, but we will have ratepayers who wish to continue for their own reasons that find making monthly equal billing type payments much more manageable for them. They may be on pension or some form of fixed income, and they will continue with those monthly payments. But the deferral would be applied and available to anybody who wished to have it. It wouldn't be selective, but we do know there will be some people who continue to make their installments by either monthly or quarterly.
Doug, you had a comment?
If I could make one last comment, yes, just want to point out, Your Worship, when you mentioned the money that we have put away in our funds, we spent a lot of that money in the last 5 to 6 years in keeping the apportionments down for the various cities and townships that we represent. So I can tell you our reserves are not in terrible shape. They're not in real good shape. And my last comment is, bear in mind, both with us and the health unit, if it's done for Temiskaming Shores, it will have to be done for everybody else, likely. So that really will deplete our reserves or our possible. So anyways, we'll discuss it, and I'll give them a heads up tomorrow so we can start looking.
I know the health unit returned most of the reserves that we had, just kept a minimal amount of reserves, so we don't have a whole lot of health reserve at the health unit there, so that may limit what we can do as far as the health unit as well, so. It's up to you guys. Do you want to pass a motion to defer this motion, or do you want to go ahead and vote on this particular motion?
I would recommend that we defer this.
We got a mover for deferring, Doug?
Yeah, I'll move
Seconder?
to defer till the 21st.
I'll second that.
Councilor MacArthur? Any further discussion on deferring it? I'll ask the clerk to hold a vote on the deferral of this motion.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor?
Councillor MacArthur,
Favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
and Councillor Hewitt.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you. So we'll address some numbers on the corporate service meeting on the 15th and then bring this back to council on the 21st. 15J is memo 004 2020 RS, the Farm Credit Canada Agri-Spirit Funding application. I've got a motion moved by Councilor Whalen, second by Councilor Hewitt. Be resolved, the Council of the City of Eastern Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of memo 004 2020 RS, and the Council hereby authorizes staff to submit a funding application to the Farm Credit Canada Agri-Spirit Fund for the Rotary Splash Pad project. Any comments? If not, I'll ask the clerk for a vote on 15J.
Councillor Hewitt,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
and Councillor Jelly.
In favor?
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15K is memo 005 2020 RFP sponsorship for the Cobalt Hillbury Curling Club for the regarding application to the Frog's Breath Foundation. It's like a motion moved by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Hewitt. Whereas the Cobalt Hillbury Curling Club has applied for funding to the Frog's Breath Foundation in the amount of $50,000 to assist with the replacement of the ice plant. And whereas the HCC requires a registered charitable organization to sponsor their application to the Frog's Breath Foundation and has requested the city partner on the said application. Now therefore be resolved, the Council of the State of Shores hereby agrees to sponsor the Hillbury Curling Club's funding application to the Frog's Breath Foundation. Discussion, comments?
Yeah, Danny here.
Yep. Go ahead, Dan.
Just wondering, do they have a plan, a going forward plan if this is denied? You know, we have these entities within the city that don't pay taxes, and I'm just wondering, so we don't get to see their financial position. So I just want to make sure they have a safety net if we support this and it falls through.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they're planning on some construction to fix the foundation on that southwest corner there, as well as the building. So I'm not too sure what their financial situation is. Chris, you got any idea of where they stand, or no?
No, I didn't see this request till it came on the package, so I don't know myself.
Yeah.
It tells us how much they're looking for and why they're looking for it. There's no hint as to a backup plan. So if we throw our sort of support behind them and it falls through, I just don't know where we go from there.
Well,
I feel if we are giving both the curling clubs and both the golf clubs a tax break, we should ask for their financials yearly, period.
Councilor Ferrer?
I don't have an issue with asking anybody for their financial statements, including Northdale Manor. So if we're going to talk about who we're giving money to, then it should be consistent right across the board. The second thing is, they're asking for us to support an application for funding. We've been approving these applications for a long time now, and there is no risk to the municipality with regards to if it gets turned down for whatever reason. The reality is, hey, if they do close, then they're going to be in a position where they're going to have to do something with the building and that kind of thing. I totally support any service that's being provided to our ratepayers that's not costing any funds for us. And if we were to try and provide curling or golf services to our ratepayers, it would cost us a lot more than what it's costing us in a forgiveness of taxes. Just my thoughts. Thanks.
Mayor Kidd?
Yes.
Mayor Kidd, I'm in favor of this motion 100%. But Danny was bringing up a point. I just added to it that maybe we should take a look if we can at the bottom line of these groups. But I'm in favor of this, and Jeff is right. We've done it numerous times.
I think if you or Councillor Whaling wants to bring forward a notice of motion for the next be asking for financial statements from all nonprofits that we allow tax rebates on, that may be something we want to deal with as a motion. For subsequent
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
No, that's fine.
I just want to be clear that at no time did I say I was opposed to this motion. I just said I'm a little bit uncomfortable giving all these support groups that we don't know their financial position.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good idea, Dan, to get the financial statements from all these groups. They should be providing that to us before they get their tax rebate from the municipality. So I'll ask the clerk for a vote on this particular matter.
Councillor Jelly,
In favor?
Councillor MacArthur,
In favor.
Councillor Whalen,
In favor.
Councillor LaFerriere,
In favor.
Councillor Foley,
In favor.
and Councillor Hewitt.
In favor.
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. 15L is the memo 006 2020 RS 2020, the recreational department fee increase. And I'll read the motion, and there's two alternatives here. It's moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor MacArthur. Be resolved, the council on the state of shores hereby acknowledge receipt of a memo 006 2020 RS, and the council, in light of the current situation surrounding the closure of municipal facilities due to the COVID-19 pandemic, hereby authorizes staff to continue with the proposed 5% increase to the recreational fees, and that such increase commence on May 1st, 2020, or that council hereby directs staff to maintain the current recreation fees. So I'll ask Councillor Whalen, since you moved the motion, whether you want to choose A or B. Is that putting you on the spot there, Dan?
Are we discussing this now?
Sure.
Yeah. Dave's got you now that's moving this motion, so.
Okay, well, it's just, the motion says during the current pandemic, all our facilities are closed until the pandemic's passed, so this 5% won't go in until probably July or August anyway, so just the way the motion is read, it's as if we're going to impose the increase now and open up our facilities, which we're not going to do because they're all closed.
Yeah, I think it should be treated just like we did the medical center.
So do I. No issue.
Councillor Perry?
I would like to move that we defer any increase with related to the 5% increase. I think again we're going to get into the ability to pay when we pass our budgets. We're in a totally different world than where we are right now, and I think that we do need to revisit this aspect of it. And if we price ourselves out, we can increase 5%. We may have a lot less people taking advantage of the facility because they can't afford to. So I think we do have an obligation, and my recommendation is we defer the increase.
Absolutely.
We do have a motion, like if Councillor Whalen and Councillor MacArthur want to choose for option B, that council hereby directs staff to maintain the current recreational fees, then that will cover the motion. Councillor Whalen?
I'm okay with that. I'm just wondering why we're guessing a date, so can we not say until the province lifts all restrictions under the pandemic?
Mayor Kidd,
Well,
if I could just, I think the intent of this, and it might not be clear in the resolution, but if you go with, I'll call it option B, that you maintain the rates. If you approve that, we're going to maintain the rates as is for the remainder of 2020. When you start looking at your 2021 budget, which will be in the fall, September, October of this year, then we would be in a much better situation in September, October of this year to look at whether or not we should be increasing fees in 2021. So the intent really of maintaining the current fees is maintaining them for now for the remainder of 2020. And really revisiting the fee structure in 2021 during the budget process.
So
I'd
if we
be okay
just
with
slightly amend that,
procedure then.
if we just slightly amend that last statement that the council hereby directs staff to maintain the current recreational fees for 2020.
Yes, I think if you added that for 2020, then in 2020, when we start looking at the budget this fall, we can look at it with an implementation date of January 1st, 2021. So I think if you added 2020, you'd be fine.
Councillor
I'm
Whalen,
okay with that. Yeah,
okay.
I'm good with that.
Councillor MacArthur?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of work put into this by the recreation folks and the committee. But under the circumstances, I would second this at this time.
So I'll ask the clerk for a vote on the option B for 2020.
Counselor Hewitt,
In favor.
Counselor Foley,
In favor.
Counselor LaFerriere,
In favor?
Counselor Whalen,
In favor?
Counselor MacArthur,
In favor?
Counselor Jelly.
In favor?
Your worship, the motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Item number 16, the bylaws. We got a motion moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor MacArthur. Be
No.
resolved that bylaw 2000.
No. So the Tasco Family Health Team, sorry to interrupt, the Family Health
Oh,
Team is
okay.
deferred.
That's
Sorry.
It's deferred.
Yes, okay, you're right. You're right. Okay. So we'll move on just to the schedule of meetings. Next one's set up for Tuesday, April the 21st at 6 p.m. and hopefully Tuesday, May the 5th, 2020 at 6 p.m. as well. So the second question and answer period. Anybody in council got any additional questions for tonight?
I don't have a question, but more of a comment if I can for our next corporate services meeting.
Yes.
Since it's kind of difficult for staff, they're all working from home. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be wise if Jeff is chair, if we sent him a list of our concerns with the financial position of the city ahead of time, so that staff's not out there trying to cover every concern we have. They'll know what our concerns are. One of mine is cash flow, so get that on the list. I'd hate to show up to a video conference meeting and have 300 different ideas and what ifs. Let's be a little more concrete in what we want to get out of the meeting, because we're going to have to bring it back to council for approval.
Okay. Well, I think if
That would be very helpful if we had that ahead of time.
I mean, if the three of us talk to you individually between now and in the next few days, whatever, and give you some ideas where we want to go.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Patricia, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I wasn't able to attend the meeting with Temiskaming Health Unit, and just I wonder if one of you that attended wanted to provide a brief update.
This was the teleconference this afternoon, you mean?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Chris and Doug and I and Councilor MacArthur were on there as well. Not really too much, other than they're sort of asking our bylaw members to be the first point of contact. We're trying to limit larger group gatherings, and we don't really have the staff for that. The health unit has one staff for the smoke-free program, which they could use. Be only one staff for bylaw enforcement from the health unit as well. So I think we need to have some kind of discussion, either myself or Chris, with the OPP and see what position they're at, because they're claiming they're short staff as well. That was one of the main concerns of the problem this afternoon. Chris, any other thoughts you had there?
Yeah, so those are weekly updates that members of council and staff are more than welcome to participate in. So I will send another once I get the invite, I'll send that out to council again. And but the bylaw enforcement is certainly a concern of mine. Right now, we only have one bylaw enforcement officer, and I have concerns with training and capacity for us to, and also dealing with if we run into a big crowd situation, sending our employees in to deal with that. There could be concerns. Really hoping that people respect the fact that they should be physically distancing from each other, and that the closures of various facilities and parks are put in place for a reason. And we really hope that people will adhere to those reasons and work with us, because we don't want to get into arguments or disputes, and we don't want to start charging our residents either. That's not the intent enforcement is really a last resort, but we really hope that people work with us.
There was basically a short update as far as I think we're still at a number of 5 positive cases in the district. Nothing's really changed. There was some discussion as far as the border being closed into Quebec and Rouyn-Noranda. There's other questions as to whether some of the healthcare workers working on both sides of the border, whether they should be allowed to go back and forth across the border. So some of those issues are still being addressed with the ministry and with Dr. Glenn Corneal there as well. So it was just a weekly update, and there'll be another meeting, telecoms with the board of directors with the health unit tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I believe, as well. So I think you're all involved, the board all invited to that, just to get a bit of an update as a board there as well. So. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Your Worship, James Franks here. I just wanted to comment because I likely wouldn't be at the corporate services meeting, but we did send out a survey to businesses yesterday afternoon to start asking them, where they felt the municipality could assist and what types of things are hurting them, where we might be able to help them recover. And just to let you know, by 9 o'clock this morning, we had about 100 responses on that survey, and the most common answer was to defer taxes. So for that discussion that you have with corporate services, I just wanted you to be aware that that is the response we're hearing from business.
Okay, thanks, James. Chris, what are we doing as far as the press? Am I calling the closed session, or are they online now, or how do you?
They may be watching the live feed. So my understanding was that you would call them after the meeting.
After the closed session, eh?
Yes.
So we'll all cut out and then dial back in with the other contact for the closed session. Brad sent everybody an additional call email to come back in for the closed session.
That is correct, Carmen.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did?
I'll try and find it.
There should be another email came just before the email for tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently we sign out, sign in, sign back out.
Yes, yes. So I got a motion, to go into close. I'll read this first and then we'll adjourn. So the motion was moved by Councilor MacArthur, second by Councilor Jelly. Be it resolved that council agrees to convene in closed session at 7:25 or as soon as we can get going again to discuss the following matters. A, adoption of the January 15th closed session minutes, the February 18th closed session minutes, the March 16th closed session minutes, and D, under section 239 2D of the Municipal Act 2001, labor relations or employee negotiation of human resources update, and
extremely mild weather, mixed precipitation, no precipitation. Some simply call it El Nino. For Southern Ontario snowmobilers, the 2016 season is the season that never was. And what little snow some areas did have can't be used because of unsafe conditions and forced trail closures. But that's just southern Ontario. We've all heard rumors that just a few hours north lies some of the province's best kept snowmobiling destinations. So we set off on the ultimate road trip, hitting as many areas as possible on a quest for snow. We left the city feeling very skeptical because it seemed like the entire province was being hit with a curtain of rain. Determined to push on, we continued driving north, and what was immediately apparent was that we were not the only ones on this journey. The further north we went, the conditions continued to improve, revealing miles of fresh-groomed trails and backcountry adventures. Snowmobiling in the north is not just an activity, it's a way of life. And each community we visited welcomed us with open arms, knowing we were all there for the same reason. Parking lots were filled with evidence of others on this same quest, yet on the trails it felt like we were completely alone. In this vast snowy playground, snowmobilers experienced the north the way it was meant to be, from the trails. And it doesn't matter what you ride, just as long as you ride. So if you're just sitting there, staring at your sled, wondering what to do next, quit wasting time. Just load up and head north. Think your season is over? Well, think again.
What if I told you there's a place nearby that even the locals haven't fully explored? That you can visit it entirely from the water and everything is just a few steps from the docks? What if I told you that there was a place that actually is picture perfect? That people there are happy even on rainy days? This summer, I visited this place with my family, and the things we found while traveling on our boat blew our minds. I know what you're thinking. Did you sleep in cabins or tents? What did you eat? Could you find gas? Did they even have the internet there? The truth is, they have countless modern resorts, hotels, inns, historic homes, and lodges right on the lake. The resorts that we stayed at were absolutely incredible, offering all the services you could expect and beyond. We stayed in places full of history, places that invited us into the past. If you want to see Canada as it was, you can find it here, and there's where we truly connected. And you might ask, weren't you bored? Is there anything to do there? Doesn't it all look the same? Well, everywhere we went, there was always something to do. We checked out their amazing skate park, visited a fossil museum, played with the kids at the beach and parks by the water, and we checked out historical sites like an old fort. The list of things to see and do was endless. The streets here are the same width as the city, but there are fewer of them and they're a lot less busy. We tasted some great food, actually we tasted a lot of great food, with amazing vistas from the patios. We even saw a chocolate factory just a few steps from our boat. There were full-service marinas at every town where local people greeted my family in French and English. These people have a wealth of stories to share about their land and their cultures. So what if I told you we saw all of this from just one lake? Just like the voyageurs who traveled these lands over 400 years ago. This place broke down the stereotypes we had about small-town country life. We'd heard of this place with a big cow, and everyone here lived from the land. And there's a quaint little farmer's market every Saturday, and while that's true, it is quaint and the pace is slower, it's also so much more. This is a warm area where they don't see provincial borders, where we visited one lake, 2 provinces, and 3 cultures. This is a place where families have been coming for hundreds of years and never want to leave. When I saw the joy in my family's face when the kids were playing their games, I couldn't help but think how folks have been playing on these shorelines for generations, and it never gets old. We'd passed through this area once before on our way to Highway 11, but there's a side of this region that we had completely missed. Although this area is right around the corner, its beauty and mystery remain relatively unknown until you decide to explore. This summer, I visited Lake Temiskaming by boat, and it was the best family vacation of my life.